Thanks everyone for joining another episode of Tech Roundup. Today, here with me, I have our CISO and co-founder, Steve Coyme, and our principal cybersecurity consultant and also executive director of the NCUISAO, Gene Fredrickson. Welcome, guys. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Coyme. I actually helped co-found Pure IT. So with a group of friends here that we got to do this and start this thing off with. Been in info security since I was a teenager. Things that we did back then were not illegal yet, but there were things that we did just learning about different things, and that really got me into information security. It was really interesting getting to college and actually meeting people who are on the other side of those computers, and learning that there was a whole different area, different aspect of all of these things, and that you didn't have to try to, grab an account somewhere. It was a educational institute. They'll give you one to be able to learn. And so a lot of being able to get in and really learn and understand what things were there. But always had an interest in how things go together, how things are put together, and that kind of stuff that just really helped to try to figure out what the bad guys were doing, so that we could try to figure out how to stop them from doing that, and turn them around the other direction. And so I did a lot of consulting through various different years, worked as a systems administrator in various different places. So just on and on for the last 35 years or something like that in that professional career. And then I really have been interested lately in certifications. So been going down the certification path and just picking up everything that I can. So I have everything from CISSP to CCSK to I recently got one that's SAS AP, so it's Situational Awareness Specialist Advanced Practitioner, and it's intended the guys who put this together. They said it's intended for us knuckle draggers. It's intended for the guys who are doing protection services to keep you, to be able to prevent terrorist attacks and things like that, or against a high profile figure. But the cycle of what you do is exactly the same thing, right? How you pick a target, how you try and look and see where the defenses are. It's exactly the same thing as what it is that we're doing in a virtual sense. And so I found it actually to be very interesting, and went through that whole process to do that as well. So I always love to find different things that I can go and learn and become an instructor on other different things. So I teach motorcycle safety, and whatever it is that I have an interest in, I'll go learn and down those paths. I love doing that kind of thing.
Wonderful. Thanks, Steve. Gene, how about you?
Well, I might predate Steve by a couple of years, but number one, I've learned if I have a question about anything, I call Steve first, because he's seen a lot. But I've actually been in information security over 40 years. Back when I started, granted it was mainframe, but along the way, like everyone else, when we got into the early 90s, we started talking about this thing called the internet. And there were huge corporate projects about adding a first firewall and adding a website. I mean, it was a massive project that we talked about. So, along the way, I've been exclusively information security, and I've worked for companies like Eaton Corporation, American Family Insurance, Tyco International, and PSCU. The one thing that really was a big education for me is back when the internet came to be, the regulators woke up and they said, "Oh my God, e-banking? Well, we better create a whole bunch of rules for this." So subsequently, I spent the next few years, a couple days a week in Washington. We had a group within financial services that met with those regulators and helped talk about and define the things that were the basis of a lot of those things we see today. So My strength is my experience. And like Steve, I've never quit learning. So, um, I enjoy working absolutely with Pure IT. There's uh, a lot of great people to work with, and always something new.
Definitely.
One of the key things in that is, in both our cases, we have found that you can still teach old dogs new tricks. But then we have to
The takeaway.
keep on learning
I,
something new every week in order to keep up with all of this stuff. So
Mhm.
I think that was a shot at me, but I may be wrong.
it was my birthday yesterday. I'm now officially an older dog. So
Okay. All right.
Well, thank you guys so much. That gives us some great background and to what you offer to our clients on a daily basis. Steve, do you want to kick us off and kind of go through some of the cybersecurity trends and threats that you're seeing right now?
yeah, the thing that we're really seeing a big uptick in right now is actually a QR code phishing, which now we're calling quishing, because we have to
Mhm.
have some kind of cute name for it, like fishing, vishing, smishing. Now we have quishing. And it's really gone from being almost barely anything there, almost a blip on the radar, to some of the fish places, the fish labs and folks like that. They're saying that 22% of all of the email fishes that are coming through just in the last 30 days have actually now been QR code phishing. So it's just taken a huge leap forward. A big part of that is because tools that we have that are actually watching a lot of the stuff coming in are actually not catching QR codes as something that's there, right? They're not seeing the link,
Mhm.
seeing malicious links, so they're actually letting those through. And then when they get through, that then lets us, if we have blocked, the main, if we've blocked a lot of the sites where the payloads are hosted, we can keep from going there. But if somebody picks up their phone, their bring your own device that they have, and they scan that QR code, they're just skipping over. They may just be skipping over all of the blocks that we have if they're not on our internal network where we actually are filtering the traffic going out. So it's been a very effective lure for the bad guys, and it's been a real new thing for us to deal with as the credit unions. That's probably the top one that's on my mind right now for things that have been going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Stephen, I absolutely agree. The other thing that this exploit has going for it is the QR code is not man readable. You're just pointing your
Mhm.
camera at a symbol and you click and it goes. You can't. It takes that human judgment out of the factor where
You can't preview the
whether or not
link.
it sounds right or whether or not it seems right.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Mhm.
it is. It's going to cause a lot of grief and a lot of trouble.
Well, and the other thing is, as we go through and try to watch for lookalike sites and things like that, it
Mhm.
doesn't even have to look like that. It doesn't have to be typo squatting domains, right? It doesn't have to just be an I as an L or something like that in a typo. It can be anything at this point, but nobody sees what the actual URL is, or even if
Mhm.
they see it, it's like a shortener of some sort, so they don't even realize or recognize that it's going to. You go to it. So far, by the way, I think 100% of the ones that we've actually seen that we've analyzed have actually been going to an evil proxy or evil jinx. So they're doing Microsoft credential harvesting. So it goes and you go to it and it pulls up your Microsoft login, is what it does. It looks like your Microsoft login, but it's actually proxying it through another adversary in the middle where they're recording those credentials
Mhm.
while you're logging in.
Absolutely. Thanks, Steve. Gina, I want to circle back to those cybersecurity trends we were talking about and kind of your take on that and what you're seeing as some threats that credit unions need to be on the lookout for.
Well, I think one of the big cybersecurity trends that I'm seeing right now is the business or the business of being a bad guy continues to morph, right? And
Yeah.
they're absolutely finding out that the easiest way to get into an organization is through the users. So, for instance, yesterday, one of the new issues that hit was there's an explosion in fake Chrome update sites where you'll start your browser and it'll say, whoa, time for an update. You click on the link, it'll take you out to a site which looks like it's probably a good place, only the update you get includes a remote access Trojan. And it, with the way that your software continuously updates, it's we're going to see more and more and more of that. So, but the key thing about this whole career path that Steve and I have been blessed to have is you got to hit that balance, right? You can absolutely secure a machine by unplugging it and putting it in the corner, but that doesn't do anything for the business process. So the magic and the key is to work with people who have the experience to say, here's the intent of a regulation, here's the intent of something you should do. Here are different ways to look at that problem, and here is probably, given your environment, the best way to do it now. And here is what you do to make sure that you stay ahead of it. A static program, we're finding out in today's world, is it's only good today, right?
Yeah.
Because a new exploit comes tomorrow.
Absolutely. Well said, Gene. And I think that leads us right into my next question, which is what can credit unions prioritize to keep them safe from, and the examples that were given are just two of many, right? But what steps should they be taking to secure their technology, to help train their users? Well, what do they need to be looking at in 2024 and beyond?
Yeah. So I'll add a couple of things there. So one of the things that's really come to light is that even though so a lot of credit unions have moved to M365 for email. It's a great system, great environment, all of those sort of things. There's so much more within M365, and that's great. And use as much as you can get to. But we're starting to rely upon Defender within that to do email security, and it's actually doing a pretty good job. But there's always this gap that happens between where they're up to and ready to defend and where the bad guys are. And the bad guys will continue to find new things like QR codes, right? Switch to QR codes, and now we're not actually blocking those emails. We're not catching the things that are there. It's going around all of the technology that's built there to be able to do that. Microsoft will work on things and they'll eventually catch up, and then but they'll come up with another one, right? There's always this little gap that happens there. And so we need to remember that there might be other products to look at, other tools to use that are actually an add-on beyond just using just what it is that Microsoft has for email protection. So I would encourage looking at some of those things. I'm not naming products at the moment, but I would encourage you to look at some of those products that actually do more heuristics and are able to find those things. The second thing is actually looking for a way to monitor your online presence, to know what it is that's happening with your brand. There are 100,000 new domain names that are registered every day, and people are going out there and finding things that look like your name in some way, some sort of typo squat for it. And then there's toolkits where they can just basically duplicate your website and have a new website that's there, up and running, ready to go with the different login page, right? You go to the login page and it just goes and pulls your credentials. So there's a lot of those. We see those pretty regularly. But if you're not able to monitor them, you're not able to catch those. And even to the point of just the ones we've been seeing lately, they've been, Joe's Plumbing and different things like that, where that's what the name is, but they're actually then going and buying a Google ad that looks like what your search result would be, and they end up at the top of the list. So when somebody searches for Random Credit Union, they get an ad that looks just like what it would be, and they click on it, and they don't pay attention that it's actually going to Joe's Plumbing. They click on it, and it comes to the website, and it looks right. The URL is completely wrong, but people don't notice it and go on. So we have to be monitoring that online presence. There's some great tools to be able to do that, that we could talk about and point you in some different directions for things that are there that are free or things that cost a little bit to be able to monitor those things.
Definitely.
That's my two big ones for the year.
Okay.
That's the first two things to put in the budget for those additional budget items.
Mm-hmm. Jean, any thoughts?
Sure, sure. I'll be a little less technical than Steve. One of the problems that still bites a lot of financial institutions is, for lack of a better term, fat fingering. If you've got a report that has the sensitive information of 100 of your members, and you accidentally send that to the wrong recipient, you've had a breach.
Mhm.
And I've read a lot of different categories or a lot of different reports about it. And some say that as high as 60% of the small to medium information breaches that happen are the result of a missed address, a dropped key, a dropped
User.
finger, those kinds of things. So
Mhm.
getting back to working with those users and bringing them up to speed. We just had Information Security Awareness Month, getting the people to understand exactly how much they can affect the security of their organization. The other thing, and it sort of uh, goes with what Steve said, is um, when you're planning for next year, make sure you plan for a good intelligence service, not just a self-serving pitch, but NCUISAL or an organization like that. So you're
Mhm.
getting this active, timely intelligence. If you wait for it to show up in a security magazine or on a news feed or on MSNBC some morning, you're going to be about a month behind the curve. So
Mhm.
you need timely, actionable intelligence. And that itself is going to be key to flagging a lot of things that you can get out ahead of quickly.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Speaking about that, Gene, we were actually on with the NCUI side. We were on a threat analyst call or risk and one of the calls earlier this week, and actually people started receiving evil jinx emails
Yes.
during that
Yeah.
call, and we actually talked about it during that call, and actually got out an alert during it while it was in the process of happening. We got an alert out, 5-10 minutes later to let everybody know, hey, if you get an email from this person, they've just gotten hit with this and it's actually going around, because it was actually hitting multiples of us on the call at the same time. So that kind of timeliness to
Yes.
be able to go find it, see it, grab it, rip it out of the mailboxes before anybody can click on it to stop it. Those are
Yeah.
things that happen because of being part of an organization like the National Credit Union Information
Yeah.
Sharing and Analysis Organization, which is way too long. So I
And building a group of local people that you can call and talk to. Security
Mhm.
isn't it's not a competitive issue. So the more we share, the more we talk, the better off we're going to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well said. Thanks, Jean. And thank you,
Sure.
Steve. Thank you both for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of Tech Roundup. And we will catch you next month. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.